My name is Dr. Cameron Pace, and I am the executive producer for EU Films, and therefore I will continue to do so for the new film to come out. That's Relativity. The executive producer in most situations in the film industry would be mostly a business type of connection where they would oversee the production of a number of films and usually act as a business manager in kind of on a corporate level. However, my role as executive producer is more of an advisor where I have the opportunity to tell the staff what we would like to do, the goals for each film. The students then take that and move forward with ideas for stories. I work with them as they develop the story for a film and give them some feedback, sometimes playing devil's advocate about an idea to make sure they've really thought through it. We eventually will end up with a kind of an outline of what the film story should be like. And then at that point, I will give them approval to begin writing the script. So a lot of what I do starts off early in pre-production, guiding them through the process of story creation, making sure we're ready. We're going to spend a lot of money and time on this movie, so we got to make sure it's done well. And so that's part of my job as advisor, as an executive producer in that regard. Then once we have begun production, my job is to help them understand how to do things, give them advice as to choices of production styles, making sure the equipment is what it should be, what they need. I usually discuss production design with the producer. I'll talk to the director about the types of camera shots and setups for different scenes. They usually meet with me on a weekly basis during production. During the weekly meetings that we have on Wednesday, it gives me an opportunity to give them feedback about what they're doing. And so they can learn every week about what we are doing in terms of production, camera work, lighting, sound, all of those things that go into the production of a movie. They get that evaluation on a short-term basis, weekly basis, and they can immediately make any changes they need to. A lot of times everything is really done well, so it's not like I have to be all that critical. It's just they need to know where maybe we need some work, some improvement, and we can make it better. And that tends to happen through the semester as they finish the movie, that they get better and better and better at it. So I become more and more quiet at those Wednesday meetings. And then, of course, at the end of the semester, as we are finishing post-production, I coordinate all the elements that need to go into a school event, such as the EU Film Showcase, where the movie is going to be presented, make sure everything is set up for that, and go forward from there. So since there are normally not any advisors for a film, because I am like a faculty advisor for the student organization, but there are executive producers, I'm probably more involved than a typical executive producer might be because of that advising role. Executive producers tend to be a little hands-off because they're not really close to the production like a producer would be. The executive producer may be working with a couple different films, or it could be that all they are is an investor in that film and they have just some connection, but nothing really that is a direct influence. But the way I have it set up here for EU Films is that the advisor is not really a traditional role in film, so calling myself executive producer is a better option for this role. However, because this is a student production, the faculty advisor position is necessary because it's supposed to be a learning opportunity. Well, anybody out there who is interested in saying a prayer for EU Films, we could always use protection for safety. Sometimes we're driving in cars, loading up equipment. There's always things that can go wrong, and so we really need the Lord's protection on our activities because there's a lot of work in a lot of different places that occurs. But really, I think the best thing is unity as well as cooperation. We want everyone to have the right spirit about what they're doing. I believe they do, but we could always use God's help in helping us always to be our best and having the best attitude while we're doing that. So every semester prior to the film workshop production where the movie is going to be made occurs, I have the hiring of the producer and director. And when I'm looking at students who are applying for those positions, I primarily am looking for students who have some experience, hopefully at EU Films. Maybe they've been in other positions on their way up the ladder, you might speak, in terms of staff. And so I want to see that they have the proper experience before they take leadership positions over all the other staff members. They need to have sufficient filmmaking production skills, maybe skills in script writing, skills in producing, in terms of short films and other projects they may have done prior to EU Films experience. But I really want to see people who have a lot of energy and interest, some passion, because they need that. It's one thing to know how to do something, and it's another thing to have the passion and will to get through that, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and sometimes it's mundane work, and sometimes it's late and you're tired. And a student who's willing to say, this is what I really enjoy and love to do, even when I'm tired and it's not interesting work right now, that they can still keep going. And really, those are the people who are going to be successful down the road in their career, because everybody's looking for that person that will carry on and continue to work even when they don't feel like it. So I need that kind of person to be on staff, especially in those director, producer type positions. So for me, the executive producer and advisor, the hardest part of my job is to direct the students in their creative ideas without dominating that. I've been involved with so many films, both EU films and outside, that things come a little easier to me, you might say, than it might be to a student who's just learning. But I don't want to dominate that conversation necessarily when they're trying to come up with an idea, either for a film or part of a film or for a scene or a character. So I have to hold back some of my own creative juices once in a while and let the student do that creative working through there. But I do want to guide that so that they understand that the creative process a lot of times is a discussion. It's not usually just a suddenly, hey, I have this great idea. But it often takes place when you're bumping ideas off of one another. And so that's what is hard for me, is to have them bump the ideas on and off with me during the pre-production without necessarily me saying, do it this way, which would be the easy thing. But that's not really the goal. The goal is for them to discover that. And of course, the easiest thing is to sit back, watch the movie on movie night, which is the EU Film Showcase, and just smile, because I'm so happy that the students not only are done with the movie and the audience is enjoying it, but I'm enjoying it as well. And I'm so proud of what my students have been able to do. You know, I'm often asked, how can I get involved with EU Films from students I run into? And there's 3 ways. One is volunteer. It's a student organization on Evangel's campus, so any Evangel student can volunteer to be a part of that, and we encourage them to do so. Or you could be in the film workshop and earn credit, college credit for that. Of course, you need to have some prerequisites completed first, or apply for staff and then be on staff if selected. And of course, you can be all of these things at the same time to some degree. However, those are the ways that really anyone can be a part of filmmaking at Evangel. And if you're interested in doing that, then I would go to crusadermedia.com on the web, and the opening page will be right there in the very bottom. There's a way to get involved with student media. And so if you click that link, it'll show you all of the links to all the different student media here at Evangel, and then what the jobs are, their job descriptions. There's an application you can download and print out. And so crusadermedia.com has all of that information for you. Just look for the link at the bottom of the homepage, and that's a great way. You can always come by the communication department and talk with us. I'm always happy to talk to students about how they can get involved here in the communication department with student media. It's a great experience. It's good for your resume to be involved with these various groups, and you have some fun. It's a lot of fun to be a part of this. It's a lot of work, but it's fun work. So I really encourage people to do that, get involved with EU Films. And then, of course, we have our current film, Relativity, and we could always use volunteers for that. We could always use extras for that. And don't forget to come to the EU Film Showcase, where we are featuring Relativity on April 28th.